I don't know anything about like the post that he posts about like with like Buddhism and stuff. Okay, so don't get mad at me for saying chaturanga shit. I just know that that's a yoga term, it's a yoga pose. Okay, I like that one. But he just like he'll constantly, wait, what is it? He's just been like posting the weirdest shit, dude. Okay, and like the weirdest titles under it. We are in Kali Yuga, the age of conflict. All of the chaos we're seeing right now was predicted in Hinduism thousands of years ago. Civilizations move in predictable cycles, and we are in the lower left-hand square of the chart. Do your best to elevate yourself in the world around you from the madness that is in the air, but understand that this insanity is all part of an infinite process. So, I don't think he understands what this is. Like, he saw this. It's a classic thing, okay? So, good times breed weak men. Weak men breed create hard times. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. So like that's like a super classic fucking, you know, grind set Sigma mindset meme that has been like resurfaced over and over and over again, right? It's an old school meme. It's like one of the oldest fucking memes in the book. Now, what is of course weird about it is that it's an old adage, okay? The alt-right is like taking over it and uses it regularly. I don't really fucking, I think it's like a silly adage regardless. But
17 months and
this is 1000% like a Nazi meme. Because this is the political compass, for those of you who don't know. And Joe Rogan probably doesn't know either. Let's be real. Okay? Joe Rogan most likely has no fucking clue what that is. It's the goddamn political compass. He doesn't fucking know what that is. But in the political compass, the authoritarian right is the Nazis. So the reason why I say this is very clearly a Nazi meme, and that I don't think this fucking boomer knows that, is that he's literally saying the Nazis are the strongmen. And of course, the right libertarians, you know, the pedophiles are the ones that are doing the good times. And if you notice, it's like weak men are the libertarian leftists, which is true. They are soy. And then they create hard times, like the USSR. So this is straight up a fucking like Nazi meme.
Happy to be a part of this community.
People who say Joe Rogan definitely knows that this is like a Nazi meme are ridiculous. Okay? You're a ridiculous person. Dude, he's like 70 years old. What the fuck are you talking about? Most people that have gotten pussy once in their fucking lives don't frequent PCM. Okay? Like most people our age that have gotten pussy once, and Joe definitely he's gotten laid, he has children, okay? They don't know what the fuck this shit is. He's not aware, he's just a dumbass. Okay? You have to remove yourself from your incredibly online bubble if you genuinely think a 70-year-old dumbass like Joe Rogan knows that he's posting a fucking Nazi meme, okay? Like, there's hella people that don't know what political compass memes are in here, okay? It's like a super slanted to the right subreddit, okay? It's like just like every other subreddit. Every other subreddit ultimately gets taken over by Nazis until it's shut down because they're really into pedophilia and, you know, ethno-states and stuff. But, and PCM is like that, of course. But, you know, Joe doesn't know any of this shit. He just saw this and he was like, yeah, this is good, yeah. Anyway,
the political compass and its consequences.
I don't know, it's literally not that hard to figure out unless he doesn't know the words right, left, authoritarian. He might not even fucking realize what the fuck he's looking at. He's like, oh, hard time, strong men, colors, weak men. Don't be ridiculous. Anyway, most people don't know what a fucking political compass is. Don't defend this. There is no defending this. He literally is saying this is a Nazi meme. He's literally saying Nazis are strongmen. And right libertarians, the ANCAPs, create good times. There is no defending this, okay? It's not a defense to say he's a fucking baboon who doesn't understand what he's even posting, especially because there's a 70-year-old dude who's posting a political compass meme Reddit. Okay, Reddit meme. He's posting a PCM Reddit meme. No shot does he know what the fuck he's doing here. Anyway, this is directly defending fascism, by the way. But let's see what his Reddit is saying. This man has friends that had to wait 2 hours for room service at their hotel. Hard times have created hard men. This graph. Hitler was a strong man and created good times. I bet Joe Rogan doesn't know that he would be defined as a weak man, broke the German codes, and allowed the Allies to beat the fascists, or maybe that's what he's worried about. It's so stupid. It is such an incredibly fucking stupid meme because it's a PCM meme, of course. And I love that. Do you think Rogan was based for this? Ew. Pathetic. This is a literal endorsement of Nazism, okay? Like, that's it. That's what this is. Anyway. And now he's starting to entertain fake election type shit. Oh, I love that. I fucking love that, dude. I mean, expected. Wait, he had Tim Pool on? Recently?
0% voter fraud. Right. Like, what's the percent?
Oh my God. Oh my fucking God, dude. Defending millionaires again, class solidarity. Yeah, me, dude. Of the big Joe Rogan defender, okay? I love defending Joe Rogan. You guys know this. I defend Joe Rogan all the time. Definitely don't even look at my YouTube page and like search Joe Rogan Hasan anywhere. You will probably see all the defense. Actually do that. You will see so much defending of Joe Rogan there. He's going full Republican. He's going full hog. Never go full hog. You should never go full hog. And he's going full hog right now. Do you think American politics takes place in the blue square? I think it's like, it depends. For the record, I hate the PCM shit, like political compass shit. I think American politics, when it comes to like immigration, is here, okay? But when it comes to like social, like when it comes to like trans bathrooms and shit like that, depending on where you go in America, it could literally be here. You know what I mean?
Glad to continue watching.
But when it comes to economics, it's here. So it's very hard to, not even here, it's like here. It's very hard to you know, reduce American politics to a just like one singular or even 4 quadrants basically, because it's so multifaceted and it's so different. Like, you want to say it's what a perfect show on PCM, bro. Just get involved with trains, bro. What is this? Just be into trains. Why do you have to be into this? Be into fucking trains, dude. Can you just like trains? Go look at trains. Go stare at trains. Don't do this, okay? Just be into fucking trains. Amway, okay? High-speed rails. What is wrong with you, dude? Stop. Stop. Go post about trains. They're very cool. Marvelous locos.
Shitty test led to all of this suffering.
Fuck. You know exactly what I mean. What is this? Never do this. Never do this. They say Amway. I mean Amtrak. Fuck. I said Amway. God damn it. What is it about, like, unhealthy obsessions that are oftentimes taken by people who like are into politics that immediately screams school shooter to me. Like, people that are this into astrology are happier than you, okay? They just are. They're like, oh my God, my Mercury's in Gatorade. The moon is out tonight. Like, my pussy be vibrating differently, okay? But they're still having fun. Like, they're having fun with it. You do this, you're this into politics, you're fucking shooting up a school. You're writing a manifesto and you're shooting up a school. Okay? What the fuck? This is also like 99.9% male, okay? This is astrology for men. It's like no, because people say this is astrology for men, but the difference here is that like people that are really, like I said, people that are really into astrology, like they're still having like fun lives, okay? They're having fun lives. I see this, I'm like, oh God, oh no, someone is writing a manifesto somewhere. They're like typing away at a manifesto angrily, okay? They're about to fucking get a message on Facebook from, someone who is definitely not FBI to figure out where you can easily access some weapons and potentially some tenorite. Okay? That's what this feels like to me. This feels like you're about to fucking go and, purchase some tenorite that fell off the back of a truck from some guy on the Facebook Marketplace who's definitely not FBI, by the way. Is this picture supposed to be satire? I don't understand this. You were saying the other day that any guy can be a 7, not the guy that does that? Yeah, no shot. Because the guy that does this is never showered, okay? The person that put this grid together has literally never fucking showered. And one of the tenets of becoming a 7, as I've said, is like taking care of yourself. This is the exact opposite of taking care of yourself. I have autism and can see someone with autism doing this. No, stop it. And also, obviously, there's a difference between whatever this kind is and, normal kind of autism. I would never say that, though, because people would say I'm being ableist if I said that. It would be the people who are not even neurodivergent that would say I'm being ableist if I were to say that. Whereas all of the people that do have autism in the chat would be like, no, this is that. Do you actually have valid criticism of it? It's too small, blurry for us to read. My man said, bro. My man's like, bro, can you please dissect and analyze this fucking psychotic thing? This psychotic PCM grid? Bro, please. This is like, don't do this. Don't do this. I'm saving you right now. Okay? We're not doing a fucking deep dive on this insane PCM meme, okay? Okay, let's hear what Joe's saying.
Like in every vote, by the way, every vote, there's some percentage.
Bro, how they shot this with a toaster. I love when Joseph Robinette Rogan subreddit posters are just like, I'm gonna rip this from Spotify. How do you get I always want to know, like, how do you get the audio to be this way?
Loving the energy in streams lately. Goated content creator Arjan Denka. Hassle Jammies.
I'm autistic. I just want to add that the Toronto van attack guy had a special interest in racism. Same vibes as whoever made that chart. Yeah. It's like that. Yeah.
Happy 10 months. Hassle shout out to Liz.
Like, that guy didn't do the van attack because he was autistic. That guy did the van attack because he had his hyperfixation happened to unfortunately be Nazism. Anyway. He has 2 mics on his stand and it still sounds like that? No, did someone fucking capture the audio wrong when they were trying to rip this?
This is what's weird about this introduction of illegal aliens.
Went from believing in socialist principles to having a name for that belief to helping organize for causes. Thanks.
Like, both those things are so crazy while it's happening, because at the same time you have to have a proof of vaccination in order to do a lot of things. So you have to have ID. So ID is racist if you want people to use ID to vote, but ID is mandatory if you want to go to restaurants, if you go to all these other places.
Oh my Lord. How many times do we have to do this? How many times? These are such basic conservative talking points, okay? Shocking that Joe Rogan has gotten to the most boring part of conservatism, which is like constantly lying about voter fraud happening and why we need to protect it, why we need to protect our voter integrity or the integrity of our elections. Our elections are still run on paper ballots because they are currently, as it stands, the most secure way to ensure elections happen. Okay, America has a lot of problems, specifically around how difficult it is to vote, but election security is not one of those problems, surprisingly, okay? As far as the integrity of the ballots goes, there are significant issues, okay? 2000 Florida is a great example where the Republicans basically took advantage of butterfly ballots and took advantage of ballots being read inappropriately, and then by way of the Supreme Court and by straight up creating the Brooks Brothers riot. Shouts out to what's his face, the weird dude who likes to get his wife, who likes to fucking hanging chads. Roger Stone, thank you. Yeah, shouts out to Roger Stone for that. Who and Brett Kavanaugh and other people that were involved in that are now in the Supreme Court as well, that personally and physically stopped recounts from occurring in Florida, which basically gave George W. Bush the election. Al Gore conceded, yada yada. Now, other than that, other than those like famous incidents, voter fraud is not a significant occurrence. It happens in the margins, of course, a lot of times done by Republicans, by the way. But voter fraud is, I hate to say this to all the conspiracists out here, voter fraud is too difficult to pull off in the mass quantities. It's too difficult to get people to mobilize in the mass quantities necessary to actually do voter fraud, systemic voter fraud. Okay? Now, having said that, do I think that we should have a national ID process for people to be able to vote, even though voter fraud isn't really happening? Sure, I'm happy to oblige, except we need to have national ID for that, okay? That is given to every single citizen unconditionally for free without any additional leaps and bounds that they need to go through. Any one of you that has been to a DMV, if you have ever been to a DMV, for free, by the way, because otherwise it's basically a poll tax, and you are creating unnecessary barriers to be able to vote, okay? But if you've ever been to a DMV, you know that process is very difficult, okay? If you ever try to get a fucking driver's license, that process is incredibly difficult, okay? You got to take time off your work. It takes off basically an entire day. People say what? Because you probably don't live in like an urban environment. All right? So you have no idea how that looks, but like the overwhelming majority of Americans still live in urban environments. They live in cities and whatnot, especially poor Americans, right? And it's very difficult to obtain a driver's license, especially if you're implementing voter ID measures right before a fucking election, especially when going out and voting itself is already also very difficult. People will not understand this. If you live, again, in a nice little suburb and you're neat and you're on Twitch, you're not going to see that. You're like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. There is a specific reason why we are one of the few countries where voting is not compulsory and also is not done, more importantly, not done on a national holiday. Okay? Why do you think that is? Why can't we change the day to vote into a national holiday? Why can't we make voting easier? Well, don't ask me the answer for that. Ask Republicans. Donald Trump openly admits why we can't do these things, because then they would never win again. Okay? They do not want poor people to vote. They do not want working class people to vote. They only want to vote. They only want to make as little amount of people as possible vote. That way, it's a more even playing field for Republicans and Democrats. This isn't to say that like Democrats are truly on the side of the working class or whatever, but ultimately, more working class people vote for the Democratic Party than Republicans. That's just the truth, okay? That's just statistics. Might not feel that way. You might think about like the real working class being the rural West Virginia voter, and they're all fucking Republican or whatever. But like when you look at the demographics in exit polls and otherwise, more working class and poorer people vote for the Democratic Party than they do for the Republican Party. So that is precisely the reason why Republicans create this lie that people are voting illegally, okay? That we're casting illegal votes in a country that has a laughably low voter turnout, in a country where the plurality, okay, are non-voters. Out of the voter eligible population, the plurality in this country are non-voters. So we need more people to vote, not less. And these restrictive measures that are implemented oftentimes in places where DMVs have suspiciously, closed down, or implemented immediately before an election cycle to make sure that people can't vote, are no different than many other ways in which Republicans try to stop you from going out and voting. During the civil rights, in the pre-civil rights era, in the Jim Crow South, they had the poll tax, okay? They had the grandfather clause. They wouldn't just straight up say black people can't vote. They would say if your grandparents could not have voted, then you don't get to vote unless you take this, literacy test or this competency test to be able to go out and vote. These sorts of things are exactly how Republicans or conservatives in general have shut out marginalized people from voting historically and in contemporary society. Okay? So, am I in favor of a free national ID that everyone gets and then, implementing some of these measures? Sure. Are these measures at this current state necessary? No, they are not. Why are they not necessary? Well, because voter fraud does not happen outside of the tiny, slim margins, okay, that cannot sway the outcome of an election. There have been liberal think tanks that have studied this and conclusively shown that voter fraud is insignificant in this country. There have been Republican think tanks that have studied and looked into voter fraud and tried to find instances of voter fraud and haven't been able to figure out or haven't been able to show at all that voter fraud is beyond marginal. There have been bipartisan think tanks that have looked into this as well. One of the most famous studies on voter fraud that Republicans routinely bring up is the American Enterprise Institute study. And that study is one of the most comprehensive studies ever conducted over the course of 30 years on voter fraud and how widespread voter fraud is in this country. That American Enterprise study famously found 1,200 instances of voter fraud. 1,200 over the course of billions of ballots cast through 3 decades. 1,200. So even the most famous study that conservatives use actually destroy their argument. Well, now, or was it the Heritage Foundation? It wasn't the American Enterprise Institute? I thought it was the American Enterprise Institute. I might have gotten that. I'm spitting off the top of dome right here. But, I mean, Heritage Foundation, American Enterprise Institute, they're the fucking same. Sorry. It was the Heritage Foundation. So, how do you 100% know your sources are true? Well, first of all, the source I'm referencing is a Republican think tank, a very famous Republican think tank. Well, here's the easy answer. The easy answer to what you're saying is because I'm smarter than you. I'm an idiot. Okay, I'm a dumbass, but this is what I've studied for a very long time, and this is what I've been doing for a very long time. So, unfortunately, I am smarter than you. I'm a dumbass regardless, but smarter than you, even though I am a dumbass. Okay? So the long answer to that is I look to the personal biases that think tanks have. So the American Enterprise Institute or the Heritage Foundation have a vested interest. Okay? They have an interest in showing that there is widespread voter fraud because these think tanks are in operation specifically to, create nice little padding for the Republican agenda. They are supposed to create empirical evidence for the Republican agenda so that conservatives can point to that, Republican politicians can point to that and say, look, this is real. I wasn't making this up. Mexicans are actually voting illegally. Here's the American Enterprise Institute or here's the Heritage Foundation study, right?
Slam.
So even when the most biased think tank that is exclusively trying to create the narrative and show empirical evidence for the narrative that voter fraud is widespread cannot figure out cannot gather enough evidence, that means it's just not real. It's not a real thing. And look no further than the Trump administration. The Trump administration ran on many illegal people voted for Hillary Clinton. That's why she got more votes than me in the popular vote, right? He said that a lot when he won. And then he kept saying that even after he won the election. He won because of the Electoral College. We won't get into that right now. But when he won, he said that. And he launched an investigative committee, okay? A committee to investigate voter fraud and electoral security. Did you ever hear about that, the conclusive findings of that committee? If you were paying attention, you would realize that they quietly shuttered it once they found no voter fraud.
As wicked.
Or rather, not no voter fraud, but voter fraud so marginal and oftentimes also conducted by Republicans that they quietly and embarrassingly shuttered the doors on that investigation. They've done this time and time again. George W. Bush had a committee made. That was also shuttered after they found no conclusive evidence that there was substantive voter fraud happening or a substantial amount of voter fraud happening.
My name, color, boomer clap.
So, there you go. This is precisely why voter fraud is widespread, and that's why we must limit who can vote in a country where the plurality does not vote is a laughable and, dangerous argument to make. But let's keep going.
Because you have to be vaccinated. Because it's like.
But you do understand how it looks, right? Well, here's the issue, my friend. You're a fucking idiot. So of course it looks bad to you. Then why don't Democrats implement these measures when they're in power? I don't know. Because you probably don't recognize how the fucking Senate works. Because the Democrats did try to implement measures to stop Republicans from doing further voter suppression. It was called H.R. 1. Just because you don't pay attention to politics and just because the Democrats are otherwise like baboons who are laughably incompetent doesn't fucking change the reality that they did actually try to do that. They tried to push for the legislative agenda of making it easier, making voting a national holiday, making it easier for universal mail-in ballot registration. And they failed because damn near every single Republican in the Senate said, fuck no. Not only did they try, but they also tried and conceded to Joe Manchin, who was operating as a vector or operating as a person that was the spokesperson for the Republicans' interest. They even said, we will implement voter ID protocols. as long as you give us the other stuff. Make it a national holiday. Make it a federal holiday. And the Republicans still overwhelmingly voted no. And when there only is a 50-50, when there only is a 50-50 Senate, and you need 60 to have a veto-proof majority, you unfortunately can't do shit. Okay? I am going to ban you.
14 months, baby.
You know I am not watching that video. You keep spamming it over and over again, trying to bait me into watching it. I do not care. I'm banning you.
It's like, it's so inconsistent.
What if I told you that illegal immigrants in this country, each and every one, does vote in the presidential election?
What? Each and every one.
Each and every one.
Every
now,
illegal alien does not vote.
Hold
stop.
Well, hold on. I'm obviously playing. I'm obviously making a bit, right?
I didn't know you're making a bit.
Right. Well,
sounds like nonsense.
The Electoral College is based upon congressional seats.
Right.
Congressional seats are based upon total population, citizen or otherwise.
Right.
So if an illegal immigrant moves into a state, they are counted in the census, and a congressional seat is apportioned to that state, which then gets an electoral vote based on the amount of people.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So we don't do a popular vote for the president. That means if you have, I think California in 2016 got one additional vote based on their total illegal immigrant population, one extra electoral college vote.
Really?
Okay. First of all, the census should count undocumented immigrants because they live in the fucking states. Okay? The census doesn't just work to redistrict. It also works to offer resources to areas, okay? And it's every fucking 10 years. Are we just going to act like these people do not live on U.S. soil? We got like more than 11 million undocumented citizens that are living on U.S. soil that are picking your avocados, okay? That are picking your fucking your grapes, that are working in your poultry factories. And without them, you wouldn't be able to put food on your fucking table, dumb bitch, okay? They're also paying taxes. And according to, again, the Cato Institute, which is a far-right, right-wing libertarian think tank, using way less of the government resources to the tune of 0.09% of all social spending goes to undocumented citizens, because the only time they can exhaust government resources are when they go to the emergency room, okay, and that's it, because they can't take advantage of anything else. And they pay significantly more in taxes than they actually get back from the American government, because the social safety nets are dog shit regardless.
Give me 11 more months of Joe Rogan.
Those people still deserve certain amenities, okay? Or at the very least, an allocation, a proper distribution of resources, because they still are here. You might want to plug your ears and close your eyes and go, la, 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 I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to see this. But they still live here, okay? The irony of you loving the working class but supporting illegal immigration, says AOC, is literally Lenin. Yes, because undocumented citizens, whether you like to admit it to yourself or others or not, are working class. Working class does not go... working class does not have any boundaries in the form of state lines. Working class is working class. Okay? They are absolutely working class. Now, there is a truth to this. There is a two-tiered labor system. If you remember, I talked to Labor Notes' very own Jonah Furman about this recently, and he actually DM'd me not that long ago saying, yes, you were completely correct. I think a part of the fucking conversation about labor shortages right now unironically revolves around shutting off undocumented immigration. Okay? There is a purposely designed, the American government's immigration policies are purposely designed to create a permanent underclass, okay, in the form of undocumented immigrants. It is. This is the truth. So that you can constantly have a pool of non-citizens coming in to work at incredibly low wages in desolate conditions and not be able to fight back and actually get purged from the country in incredibly violent ways when they ever decide to even demand back pay, like it happened in the Purdue Chicken Factory, for example. And the American government does not punish these companies that hire undocumented labor, that rely on undocumented labor, that's baked into their commodity production and their margins. Okay? The American government runs on undocumented immigrants that are hyper exploited. That actually hurts the labor conditions overall. Certainly, it is the truth. If you have a pool of undocumented laborers that are willing to do the job for, 10 cents on the dollar, then yeah, of course these capital owners are going to work with them instead of you. What is the solution? It's not a bad take. What is the solution? Well, the solution is to document them. The solution is to allow them to also unionize alongside the documented labor force. Because the pie otherwise is much larger. And we're fighting for crumbs. Well, not we. I'm in a way better situation now. But the average American worker is fighting for crumbs again and pitting themselves against the undocumented worker that is fighting for an even smaller percentage of that when the larger pie is much greater. Okay? The real way to address the lump of labor fallacy that conservatives regularly engage in, which was already disproven in the 19th century, by the way. Okay? This is a fallacy. The lump of labor fallacy was disproven, or it was shown to be a fallacy in like 1847 or something, okay? Like a very long time ago. And yet conservatives still engage in this rhetoric. The only reason why it seems like there is a lump of labor, there's only a finite amount of jobs that people can get to, is because there is a constantly refreshing pool of undocumented laborers that are hyper exploited in this country. And all of our most prominent industries absolutely rely on that and bake that in to their profit margins. Well, the way to solve that problem is by allowing undocumented laborers to be documented and allowing them to advocate for better labor conditions alongside the rest of the documented labor force. Okay? Strawman argument, you're avoiding Occam's razor. Thanks, man.
So while they don't actually vote by going out and voting,
Thanks for everything,
that's not how the presidential election works. Their presence in the state gives congressional federal power to that state to make those votes.
Interesting. So they make states where there's like borderline states, or where there's states where they're, it could swing one way or the other. And they make those more accessible to illegal aliens. Thus, they get additional seats.
It takes 10 years.
Yeah, famously, all of those states, of course, all those borderline states are, liberal. But wait, that's not the truth. And that a lot of border towns that have a high population of Hispanic voters are still in Texas and definitely do fucking not vote liberal and do vote. Only recently have they started voting more blue, okay? So this idea that it's only the red states that are getting undocumented immigrants and that's helping them in the electoral college is a fucking insane one, okay? But not as insane as missing the top of the hour ad break by 8 minutes.
Thank you for
because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. Now, if you no longer want to see those ads, okay, if you no longer want to see those ads, then all you need to do is subscribe. That's right. You can subscribe for $5, or you can subscribe for free with a Twitch Prime, or you can wait for someone to gift you a gifty boy in the chat. That isn't always a consistent one, but the most consistent way is Twitch Prime, which is free. Okay? Or a $5 month subscription. So, if you use that, you won't see those ads. Wamic7, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Comic 7 allowing 5 people to no longer see the ads, and Rebonchu for the 3.